Yo, what's going on, everyone? Jay Kwan here. Welcome back and happy Friday. Today we got ourselves another locals game, and myself will be playing Sapphire Steel Allies. So this is a deck that I've also been tweaking around here and there. I've quite enjoyed it. This one in particular does have the Scar support Alice combo for us to be able to give our allies lots of strength, banish it with Scar, and draw a whole ton of cards. There's even a few other games that I've played in the past with this deck and even allowed me to drop to 16 cards at one point. So really good deck. Definitely, has a lot of different types of tools and, there's going to be threats in the meta here that we are able to contest against, right? Hades is going to get rid of a lot of bigger stuff like Blurple, evasive threats, Clarabelles, and then for some of the more aggro threats as well, we got Vincenzo, we got Tinkerbells, right? So this deck does really it is really good at what it does in terms of ramping, playing big characters, turn after turn, and then just controlling the game thereafter. But nonetheless, let's get right into it here. We are going to be playing a very spicy Emerald Ruby deck with damage counters, so we got to watch out for that. We do start it off here with the Mulan 1-drop, drawing us a card and then discarding a card. Very useful and definitely needed in the Sapphire Steel deck, especially if you are going to be playing docks, just because the docks can clog up your hand and you may not want to have docks at the same time that you have Hades, right? So Mulan allows you to fix your hands in that case. So our opponent plays a Card Soldier. Card Soldier is when it's damaged, it gains 2 additional strength. So we do have our ramp here in the form of Tipo. And with this, how the Sapphire Steel deck generally wants to play out is turn 1 Mulan, turn 2 Tipo, turn 3 Pleakley, inking the Tipo, and then turn 4 going into a Scar. And then from there you can play an Alice, right? So Alice is going to give everyone support, meaning that if you quest with the Scar, you can give 5 strength to the Pleakley that you played the turn prior, and then at the end of the turn, you can banish the Pleakley with the Scar, drawing you 9 cards, right? Because Scar gives all allies 1 strength. You give 5 strength from support from Alice, and then the Pleakley already has 3 strength as well. So you draw a whole ton of cards, and that's how you generally take advantage of a lot of the other decks. Because all the other decks will need like Second Star to the Right, Finders Keepers, Clarabelle to really keep up with that, right? So it seems like there is a lot of decks in the meta right now that just tend to draw really insanely, right? Just because Clarabelles, you have the potential to draw like 4 or 5 cards even. Finders Keepers, you draw 3 cards. Also has a very consistent draw engine, right? Same thing with Amethyst Steel, you got your Dumbles there, you got your Genies, right? So lots of different types of decks in the meta that allows you to draw a whole ton of cards, and those are the decks that are topping and being used right now, unless you're also going more lower to the ground in the terms of Amber Steel aggro, right, where you can just play your whole hand out, drop a dock, draw 2 more cards, and keep playing from there. So as you can see here in this game, the opponent does play quite a bit of newer characters that you wouldn't see too often anymore, like that Anna Diplomatic Queen. The Anna does have a couple of different abilities. All activates when, in this deck, when you, let's just say, have a damage on your opponent's character, you can use Anna to banish it. You can also use Anna to discard a card from your opponent's hand and also give another character strength as well. So all separate effects that you can only use once, and you do have to pay 2 additional ink to use Anna, but very versatile of a card, and was played quite a bit actually in the Emerald Steel Diablo days a couple months ago. So in this game here, we did manage to take full control of the board in terms of all our Tipos, our Docks, Auroras as well, giving all of our characters ward except herself. Meaning that, let's just say if they're playing a green deck, they can't You're Welcome any of our other cards except Aurora. And the best part is that if you do happen to have 2 Auroras on the field, then the Auroras will stack itself, meaning that the Auroras that weren't warded before are now warded because each Aurora kind of wards itself, right? So looks like the opponent was able to play You're Welcome on the Aurora, shuffling it back to our deck, and then we do get to draw 2 cards. This is good for the opponent because they do have the Clarabelle on board right now, meaning that they just probably drew like 4 or 5 cards from this. But we are a ramp deck as well, so we do have the potential to draw and get bigger cards, a lot bigger cards than the Emerald Ruby deck. Because I think the biggest card in the Emerald Ruby deck would be potentially the Clarabelle on the board right now. So we need to clear it out. What's happened in this case is that our docks were able to quest, give the Alice support with the strength, and then have the Alice challenge into the Clarabelle to trade off. And that would allow us to, take control of the board a little bit easier because, once Clarabelle is on board, it's very, very easy for the opponent to get 1, 2, 3 card draws per turn, right? Because they can just play out more and more things turn after turn, have other cards sing cards like Mother Knows Best or You're Welcome, and just slowing us down, putting more cards back into our hand, and then Clarabelle gets you, more draw. So he shifts in the Clarabelle and plays Stop Chaos in its tracks. So Stop Chaos in its tracks will allow you to bounce 2 characters with 3 strength or less. So he's able to bounce those 2 cards back to our hand. Clarabelle is then able to draw at the end of the turn, slowly taking back board control here. And we have a whole ton of cards in our hand at this point. Right now what I would do is try to focus as much as possible to get characters out that are higher than 3 strength, and that way it gets over Under the Sea and the Chaos card there. So that's why we play out the Pluto and then we play out the Bianca. These characters here are 5 strength right now, so they will get over a lot of the board wipes that the Emerald Ruby could potentially have. So he plays out the Card Soldier. Plays a Cheshire Cat. Okay, so Cheshire Cat is a card that you don't see too often, and essentially you can deal 2 damage to a damaged character, right? So because none of our characters are damaged, it won't do anything right now, but it does quest for 2, and he does want to swarm the board more. So that's what he's going to be doing, right? He's just going to be building up his board here. And keep in mind that because he is running a damage deck, he has Card Soldiers and Queen of Hearts that all gain more strength when they're damaged. So we're playing the Aurora here, giving our other characters ward. Plays the You're Welcome, singing with the Cheshire Cat, sending our Aurora back to our deck again. So that's the second Aurora that got sent back with You're Welcome, but again, that's what Aurora is there for, because if Aurora wasn't there, he could have sent back the Bianca, he could have sent back the Pluto, right? And those characters have really high strength to be able to take out a lot of his characters that have effects when they're damaged, right? And we want to take those characters out in one go, right? Because again, Queen of Hearts, the 2-drop there, when it's damaged, it gets +3 strength, meaning that it'll become a 4 strength character, which is really, really strong. So we play at the Tinkerbell, dealing 1 damage to all these characters. Unfortunately, it will trigger the Card Soldier and the Queen of Hearts, giving them more strength. But again, we're also playing a lot bigger things than he is right now. We're also building up the board. We play Strength of a Raging Fire, taking out the Clarabelle in one go. And then we're just going to play out our hand here, playing the dock and discarding our other card and drawing 2 cards from our deck. Luckily, we're not playing against a traditional Baja Blast like Emerald Sapphire deck. Otherwise, we could get heads held high and then Under the Sea combo, clearing out every single one of our characters. Okay, so Card Soldier is going to challenge into the Pluto. The March Hare does the exact same thing as the Cheshire Cat, so it will deal 2 damage to a damaged character, meaning that it is able to take Pluto out there. And he plays a Dormouse. So Dormouse is a really cool card. When it's played, you just put 1 damage counter on any character. And this also means that you can play damage counters on yourself, right? So you can put it on the card soldier or the Queen of Hearts to activate its ability to gain more strength. So very, very cool combo cards here. Usually these are the cards that you don't see too much, especially in these colors. So very interesting deck, especially in a meta where, you know, we're just seeing the same types of meta decks time and time again, right? Like Blurpo, Amethyst Steel, Amber Steel decks, Baja Blast decks, all running around. So that's why I like to showcase, you know, a lot of really cool decks that are non-meta, because you never know, right? Like you could take these types of decks to your local tournament, and if, let's just say, everyone's too busy playing against meta, they might not know what exactly your deck does and could give you a hand, right? Like an edge. And a lot of times that's what happened, right? Like look at Zan bringing Emerald Steel with Diablos and discard and all that to one of the DLCs, right? And won that. Right? A lot of people, they weren't expecting that, right? Because they just didn't know what the deck looked like, what kind of the strategy was, what cards you should probably target or in mulligan for, right? So there's a lot of different benefits to playing off-meta decks like this. So he plays the Anna. He's going to pay 2 additional ink to be able to banish the Tinkerbell here, because the Tinkerbell does have damage earlier from the Dormouse, I believe. Queen of Hearts is going to take out our dock, and March Hare is going to take out our other dock. So the Emerald Ruby is doing a very, very nice job in dealing with a lot of our stronger characters, right? So he's dealing damage to our characters and then playing cards like Anna to take care of it. And then also his damage characters like Queen of Hearts are all challenging into our characters here because, you know, again, like the damage character's strength is pretty strong, right? Okay, so we play the Mulan and then we play the Genie. And looks like that's a Happy. So Happy is the 1-drop dwarf. That's a 2/1 and evasive on your turn. So Happy's going to take out the Queen of Hearts because the Queen of Hearts does have 4 strength right now. So it is a very big threat. And Scar is going to banish our Genie at the end of the turn, giving us 4 cards and then discarding 2 cards. Keep in mind, again, like Scar does have the static ability, giving all of our ally characters +1 strength. So therefore the Genie Dragon was a 4 strength character when we banished it. Okay, so he plays the Queen of Hearts, shift. So this Queen of Hearts is any time that you challenge with a character, does not have to be banished, you draw a card. So a very good way to replenish the Emerald Ruby's hand there. Especially when, you know, if you know for a fact you've used 2 Clarabelles this game, right? And then because it's also later in the game, I probably won't have too many cards in my hand for Clarabelle to be much use. And we also did see a whole bunch of Your Welcomes being played this game too. So play the Pleakley, ink the Mulan. Pleakley is a funny card for sure, because Pleakley is a mandatory effect. So if, let's just say, you play Pleakley and you don't have any other characters on board to ink with Pleakley, you have to ink the Pleakley. So keep that in mind. Pleakley is a very, very strong card early in the game, but late game as a top deck with no characters on board, it's almost ink most of the time, right? Unless you have a really a wide board of weaker characters, or you're really trying to ramp up hard because maybe you've drawn a whole ton of cards with Scar and you just want to play out your hand the next turn, right? And you just want to ink as much as possible. Okay, so we're going to play another Scar. And we're going to play a Robin Hood. So Robin Hood is a 6/4/4, evasive on my turn, same as Genie Dragon. And when it's played, if the opponent controls more cards in their hand, we draw a card. Okay, so Pleakley is going to go in for the trade. And we are nearing the end game here. You have a lot of strong characters on both sides of the board. plays a Moana and plays a card soldier. So Moana is an evasive, and I believe when it challenges, you give another character +3 strength. So that thing could potentially help him clear out our whole board if we choose to quest or challenge and have any characters available on his turn. So we do have to be careful of that. So we play an Aurora, and then we play another Robin Hood, drawing us a card. That Robin Hood's going to take out the Anna. Now I choose not to quest with the Scar here because we don't currently control any allies. Aurora and Robin Hood are not allies. So I am saving the Scar until we can draw an ally to be able to get more cards off of Scar's effect and hopefully coming back from this game here. So Goofy was played. Goofy's a 6-drop and it's an evasive rush character, and it's a Maui Hero to All replacement in Ruby decks right now. And it's especially very effective in a meta with lots of evasives running around, right? It one-shots Elsas, it one-shots Dumbos, it one-shots Genies, so it's a very, very strong card. Okay, so we play the Vincenzo. Yeah, Vincenzo could deal 3 damage to, let's just say, Anna. But it's, again, like, there's really not too much that we can do, because it looks like the opponent pretty much had lethal and will have lethal even if he quests to like 19, right? Then every other card that they play turn after turn is going to be lethal. And Sapphire Steel does not have any board wipes, so therefore we scoop it up. Here it is on game 2. We do go first. We ink pass, so we unfortunately did not get a Mulan or an Happy to play first turn. Our opponent inks and plays a Clarabelle 1-drop. So we ink a Happy, probably drew that 1 turn too late. Play a Tipo, ink a card face down from our hand Exerted. Inking a Cheshire Cat. And playing a Power Line. Interesting. Okay. So he does play a Power Line. Power Line is a Singer 4. Which does make sense, because you could sing You're Welcome, you could sing Be King, and a bunch of other things. And it's especially effective in this particular colors because, you know, when you have Clarabelle Shift on the board and then you have Power Line that can sing a You're Welcome, you're going to draw a whole ton of cards from that combo. So I play the Tipo again, inking an additional card, and the reason why I'm playing double Tipo is because, again, we want to throw away our hand as quickly as possible, because once that Clarabelle Shift comes down, he's going to draw cards equal to the number of cards that we have in our hand. So we want to be able to ink very aggressively, and that way we can start top decking into our heavy end cards like Hades, Vincenzo, Tinkerbells, right, Biancas, and the Robin Hoods, and slowly take back control of the game, not allowing the opponent to go too far with all the resource that they'll be drawing from Clarabelle. So he plays a Moana. Again, this Moana does have evasive and a challenge effect by giving one of his other characters Challenger or Challenge +3. It's for your strength. We have to be very careful with that. Okay, so we ink the Pleakley, play out the Robin Hood. Robin Hood's going to draw us a card because we do have less cards in our hand than our opponent, just because we've been so aggressively inking with Tipo. So Clarabelle Shift comes down. And let's see if he has the You're Welcome. If he has You're Welcome, that'd be pretty crazy. Okay, so it looks like he passes turn. He probably had more cards in his hand than we do, so he did not draw from Clarabelle Shift. We play an Aurora, and then we play an Alice. Now this is pretty interesting too, because we have 2 Alices on the board. But keep in mind that the Alice's support ability does not stack on top of each other. But it does give each other Alice the support function. It works the exact same way as the Auroras. Auroras give other characters ward, but when you have two of them, they do give each other, right, that ability. So you play a Scar, take out the Moana with the Robin Hood, 1-for-1 trade. I'd take that any day. Just because we want to be able to, again, like, just simplify the game state, right? Make trades when we can. Don't overextend. And just wait until the perfect time when you know that you can swing the tempo back in your favor. So we see another shift Clarabelle. Questing in for 2. And questing 2 with the Anna in passing turn here. Okay, so we're gonna quest 1 with Alice, giving support to, I think that's a Doc or Happy, I can't tell, they look the same to me. And that way it gives enough, oh, probably a Doc, because it survived, yeah. And then playing a Pleakley, inking the Doc, giving us more ink. Now do we quest with the Scar here? Because if we quest with a Scar here, we can give the support to Pleakley, and then we're then able to draw quite a bit of cards from Pleakley. 2, giving Pleakley 5 strength. Now keep in mind that I may be hesitant to draw with Scar because he is also going to draw with Clarabelle, but I think because we have so much more ink than the opponent, we can just play more and more things than the opponent and be able to just use the card draw from Scar to overcome the card draw from Clarabelle. Okay, so we're discarding a Pleakley, and that's probably a Doc or Happy that we discarded. Probably a Doc, just because we have so many cards in our hand. We're not going to be discarding our hand anytime soon for Doc. Clarabelle's going to take out the Scar. And Clarabelle, having 6 willpower, will allow it to survive the challenge. It's going to take out the Alice. So it's clearing our board again. And Clarabelle is very effective in doing so. Like, Clarabelle's stats is actually very, very, very strong. So he plays an Anna. And doesn't look like he uses Anna's ability. And he's going to draw from Clarabelle. So here we have it, a second Aurora. So now everything becomes warded. Both Auroras are warded, and every single character that I play will also be warded. And now we also have 2 Alices as well, so each other Alice will give each other the support here. But that trade is way too juicy to pass up, so I do choose to challenge the Clarabelle with the Alice, doing a 1-for-1 trade. Because, I mean, all we really have to do is just get rid of the Alices, right? Or get rid of the Clarabelles, because those are probably the biggest threats. Like, sure, Queen of Hearts can get very strong with its ability for the strength, but it is still going to be a weaker character in terms of willpower, especially after it gets damaged. Wow, so he plays out 2 Queen of Hearts and 2 Clarabelle 1-drops. Just spamming out the board here. So we're inked the Genie Dragon. Playing a Hades, inking the Clarabelle to the opponent's ink, exerted. And we're gonna hardcast the Strength. Okay, so we're hardcasting the Strength, taking out the Anna just because it does quest for 2. So I see that as a bigger threat than taking out a Queen of Hearts or a Clarabelle. Plays the Goofy Rush, but doesn't have any character that he can challenge into just yet. And he plays a third Queen of Hearts. Holy smokes. Now, he's forcing us to essentially challenge into his characters to be able to react. Otherwise, he's going to quest out for game here. So Happy takes out the Clarabelle. We play a Mulan, draw a card, discard a Pleakley. Hard casting the Strength, having exactly 6 characters and taking out the Goofy. Questing for 6. And wow, both Auroras and Hades with the support gives Alice a lot of strength there. It gives Alice 3, 6, 9 strength, making Alice exactly 10 strength. So Alice has a second ability where if Alice has 10 strength, it will quest for 5. So that's why you saw Alice quest for 5 just now. So Alice is a very, very strong card. Once you have so many characters on the board, you're going to be able to, you know, turn the clock very fast. And just because of Alice's ability, it puts us exactly at lethal next turn. So the opponent, even if he takes out a lot of our characters with the Queen of Hearts, we're still going to be at lethal, right? And the reason why I also didn't challenge into his Queen of Hearts is because our Auroras and our Hades are only 3 strength. Queen of Hearts is a 1/4 character, meaning that once we hit and challenge it once, that's going to become a 4/1 character after that, right? And that Queen of Hearts not only going to survive that challenge, but it's probably going to take out something as well. So there's no point of challenging in, you know, questing in, giving all that support strength to Alice was the best play here. The opponent really needs more characters on the board, but also realizing that, you know, we do have 2 Auroras, so all of our characters have ward. This means that no You're Welcome and no Mother Knows Best, no targeted removal whatsoever, unless you play B-King, but B-King again would not be enough, because as we do have a lot of characters that quest for 2, taking us to lethal. So opponent goes first on game 3. He's going to play the Card Soldier, and then we're going to follow up with our Happy. Passing turn, the opponent brings out a Queen of Hearts. So let's see if we can get our turn 2 ramp. Yep, so we do get the Tipo, ink a card, and pass turn. And again, we want to see the Pleakley on the following turn as well. So inks the Queen of Hearts, playing the Clarabelle, triggering the Clarabelle because we have more cards in our hand than the opponent. So Clarabelle's going to allow him to draw 1 card. So we ink a Tipo again. Questing for 1. Looks like we do have the Pleakley, inking the Tipo from the Pleakley, and then playing the Mulan with our last ink, drawing a card. And looks like we are discarding a Smash. Okay. And we discarded a Smash. That usually means that we have a Strength in our hand, because it's one or the other that I would keep, especially against a Clarabelle deck. So if you're wondering, you know, Smash is really good to take out the Clarabelle right before he shifts on turn 5. But in this case, we probably have a Strength in our hand, and that's probably the reason why that we did that. So he plays the Moana and passes turn. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ink right now, allowing us to play Aurora, giving everyone ward, and we just pass turn. Now, a lot of times in this case here, what I generally like to do is I like to play out the Aurora first to make sure that it's safe, and then play the Scar second. If we played the Scar first, Scar could get You're Welcomed, it could get interacted with, like if you're playing against Blurple decks, it can be Elsa down. So it's always very important to play the Aurora first, just to be safe, right? Because Scar is a little slow in that case where it does have to spend one whole turn before it can actually do anything. As you can see here, the opponent played Stop Chaos in his tracks, bouncing a character that's 3 strength or less back to the hand. Everything else is warded, so only Aurora can be bounced back. And as you can see, Scar comes down because we know for a fact the opponent doesn't have any more removal or is very unlikely to have more removal, right? So he plays a Goofy and passes turn, so that Goofy is going to be able to take out a lot of our characters here if we don't do much. We play the Aurora, quest for 2, end turn. We're going to draw 4 cards from Smee and discarding 2 cards. Discarding, looks like we discard double Pleakley. Definitely don't need that anymore. And our Scar's probably... Oh, interesting. Okay, so he plays the You're Welcome, singing with Moana. Drawing him 2 cards, because yeah, it does look like he is pretty low on cards right now in his hand. I think he just has the 1 card in his hand, so he definitely needs to find some answers quick. Goofy's going to trade in with the Scar. And he's going to play out all 3 characters from his hand. Oh no, he has to keep one. He probably doesn't have enough ink. Okay, so he plays Card Soldier and Queen of Hearts, passes turn. Plays out the Scar, and I play a Mulan as well. Playing another Goofy, wow. Yeah, my Ruby Amethyst, I play Goofy at 3 copies, but I'm thinking of upping it to 4 because it's just such a great card. Most of the time it's going to 2 for 1 trade with the character, right? You're going to probably crash into one character, take it out. Even if, let's just say, it gets taken out by Hades, it's already done its job, right? Playing another Card Soldier here. Questing with the Moana, questing with the Card Soldier, and passing turn. So we have double Aurora up again. That's pretty crazy. We play Alice and Bianca. Keep in mind that Bianca is when we control an ally, we can play it for 2 less. But in this case here, we just hard cast it. So Aurora is going to challenge in, taking out his character. Scar is going to challenge in as well. Okay, so challenges the Scar. Goofy's going to challenge the Aurora. Doesn't look like we have any cards in our hand either right now. Okay, Moana's going to quest for 1. We're going to top deck a Tinkerbell, dealing some damage here to his characters. Questing out for 4. And this is the position that we really want to be at, especially in these decks that don't have a higher end characters for them to play out. Right? We want to be dropping Biancas, we want to be dropping Tinkerbells, Hades, Vincenzos turn after turn. And eventually it's going to get to the point where all of our characters are just have so much stats in total compared to all of the opponent's characters that we're just going to win through sheer force. Okay, so Goofy's going to take out the Aurora. That Goofy put in a lot of work, as you saw there, right? Like, it took out 2 characters. Very nice. March Hare gets played. Does not have its effect activated. Nice, and we just top deck a Hades. That's like perfect. See, our top decks are going to be much, much better than the opponent's top deck, right? Like probably the best top deck the opponent can have would be a Clarabelle Shift. But even then, it's not going to do too much because we're also in top deck mode. So Hair's going to sing You're Welcome on itself, sending it back to the deck, allowing the opponent to draw 2 cards. So really digging for that out right now to get rid of the Bianca, Tinkerbell, and the Hades. Cheshire Cat comes in. Again, doesn't have an effect because no characters are damaged. Hard cast the Anna. Looks like we top deck an Alice. And we're just going to aggressively quest at this point, so it's going to take us to 16. We're going to pass turn. Dormouse gets played, dealing 1 damage to the Tinkerbell. Oh, and he sings Stop Chaos in its tracks. So he's able to send back 2 cards, that's 3 strength or less. He sends back... Does he? Oh, okay. So he sent back the Alice and sent back the Anna, and then he replays the Anna, paying the additional 2, and taking out the Tinkerbell. That was a very, very nice play there. But it does look like we do have lethal right now. Yep, so we do have lethal, and there you have it, guys. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned to the next one. Peace.